While I was out here, decided, listen, we're gonna go ahead and talk to y'all about something else that I think is extremely, extremely stupid. You know what I find funny? The whole response behind the Kanye West thing, right? And Kanye West espousing opinions that are not common among people. Like I scroll to my timeline, right, and I see black folks in there talking about how, you know, they're disowning Kanye West. Got the whole Daz Dillinger thing, right? Daz Dillinger says he essentially says he's putting a green light out with the Crips so that the Crips can beat up Kanye West when they see him because of Kanye West's support for Donald Trump. Just think about that for a second. Think about that for a second. You're talking about like Daz Dillinger. You talk about a whole host of people who support a culture, right, that will protect people who are criminals. They will stand up for people who are convicted of rape, who are accused of rape, and a whole host of other things because of their skin color. But what you can't do within the black subculture, not among all blacks, but among the black subculture, is express any sort of conservative ideas. You can be in certain communities and be accepted with being child molester. You could be a mass murderer. You could have shot 15 people, all in your community, all the people in the community who look just like you, but the one cardinal sin that you never commit is espousing any sort of conservative values. Think about how ridiculous that is. And so then a lot of these same people, when I'm talking to, right, they'll tell me, you know, that I've done something wrong, you know, I'm cooning, you know, I'm all of these things because they bought into the white liberal lie that all black people think alike. I mean, are you really under the opinion that black people don't have independent thought? But that's what you're saying. If I think differently whatsoever, then you'll tell me that I'm not black, as if my blackness is not as a result of my ethnicity and my ancestry, and that it's tied to a way of thinking. Think about that crap. Think about it. Y'all are still on the plantation, right? And y'all love to play the slavery card. So think about it. Who's really on the plantation? You think like the rest of people, and like the majority of the crowd wants you to think. And then if I have any sort of maverick thought, then I'm a sheep? Come on now. Listen, like I said, anytime there's some crazy shooting and stuff going on, in some of these situations, the shooting is unjustified. Other ones, it's completely justified. But people will still uphold the person who got shot because of their skin color, not because of the truth, not because of virtue or any sort of actual value, no morality. It's all simply because the person looks like you, right? But Kanye West, he can get disowned, though, because he holds conservative views, because he said he supports Donald Trump. Now, that right there gets him put off. But this is, you know, among this black subculture, these are the same people who won't tell on the person who raped and shot 50 people. You know, they ain't gonna say anything. That person, he can still come hang out at the barbecue. You know, free so-and-so, you know, when they get locked up. But one thing you can't do, don't ever express any sort of conservative values. There is no room for individualism. And everybody's so caught up in being a minority that you don't understand that the smallest minority is the individual. And so if I express any sort of individual thought, then the majority comes against me. They want to hurt me. I mean, you see it all the time. I get threats on here all the time. Let me post any sort of unpopular opinion, just words, right? I'm just saying what I think about a certain thing, giving my perspective. And instantly, the threats and stuff like that have come. I mean, like really, think about the mentality. Think about the idea that people have that. I remember when the whole food boxes thing came out, I did a video on the food boxes, and I seen people on there talking about, well, black people are going to starve. I seen black folks talking about how black folks are going to starve. I seen white folks, white liberals talking about how black people are going to starve. Because you think that we can't survive without welfare. I mean, you're not going to say that's what you think, but you really think that we can't survive without welfare? I was in a debate earlier with a guy who talked about how he was excusing the inaction of people that decided not to revolt from slavery, that allowed their kids to go in, and me, I would have rather died. And I know it's easy to say that from the chair that I sit in, but I don't have the attitude that will actually allow me to roll over and be enslaved. And I would have been like, several of those people, Gabriel's Rebellion and all of those sorts of things, where you're going to have to kill me. And so then there was a well-meaning white gentleman I was talking to earlier who tried to tell me that, it's understandable because the people are fearful. And I told him that fear is neither an admirable or an excusable trait. Lay down and die before you take slavery. And that right there is an unpopular thing to say, because then when it comes to, that's a conservative idea. And so when it comes to the sort of thing like depending on the government or starving, as if those are the only two options, it's not. It's a false dichotomy. You could also get out and go make some way yourself or die trying. But, you cannot present the idea that blacks have any sort of options, like there's anything like that they can do, anything that they can do to get out of any situation. No. What keeps being presented is that I'm too weak, and how dare I say anything? People who look like me were far too weak to make it out. I mean, how dare you say something like these people can do something about this situation? I have people who will argue me about that, who will tell me that I'm crazy for thinking more of black folks who fit this criteria, or more of people who are Latino, right? Or more people of any race, creed, color, or background who can do something about it. If I say they can do something about this situation, people will tell me that I've said something wrong. I've shot the holy cow. Because you are not allowed to preach anything that says personal responsibility in an entitlement generation. I mean, do you really think you would die if the government doesn't feed you? Do you really think you'll die? That's sad. If so, you might as well go ahead and just accept the fate. Why do you need some other able-bodied individual to feed you and take care of you? So with all the mess going on with Kanye West, listen, all it boils down to is you all have bought into the idea that everybody who looks the same must think alike. And that's why it's easy for you to say things like all white folks are racist and things like that, because you think honestly that everyone who looks alike must think and act alike. That is a racist idea in and of itself. Anyway, that's all I got. I'm Leandre. I think for myself. And so some people will call me, I'm probably cooning because I can think for myself and I don't express the thoughts and ideas that, that other people think I'm supposed to. If I express any thought that doesn't go along with the crowd, I must be, a slave. No, that's not me. I'm independent. I don't care what anybody has to say. I don't care about anybody's approval. I really don't. I was black and conservative before it was trendy, when everybody in my town was hating me, talking crazy to me, when folks wanted to fight me, in a bar, and I was there, I was by myself. I don't care anything about approval. I care for the truth, and it doesn't matter who it favors. And you can't argue with things like economic studies and political facts, and you can't argue with that. So, y'all have yourself a good day. I figured while I was out here, might as well go ahead and say it.